In the early 20th century, a vast migration of filmmakers transformed a modest California suburb into the epicenter of American entertainment. Drawn by endless sunshine, varied filming locations, and escape from East Coast legal battles, pioneers built studios that churned out stories of adventure, romance, and drama, captivating audiences worldwide with the magic of the screen. This evolution from flickering experiments to full sound spectacles created an industry worth millions, where talent from vaudeville stages and immigrant background rose to fame, blending innovation with the raw ambition that defined early cinema's magnetic pull. Welcome back to The Historian's Table, and in today's episode, we'll discover the glitz and glamour of early Hollywood. We'll take a look at how movies became a cultural phenomenon, fostering a star system that elevated nobodies to somebodies, whose lives became just as enthralling as their on-screen roles. In the late 19th century, cinema began on the East Coast, where Thomas Edison's kinetoscope debuted in 1893, offering glimpses into moving worlds for just a nickel. By the early 1900s, hubs like Fort Lee in Chicago buzzed with early studios, but Edison's 1908 Motion Picture Patents Company clamped down with lawsuits, stifling independence under a monopoly of cameras and projectors. Filmmakers, craving artistic freedom, turned westward to Southern California, a haven of year-round sunshine, diverse terrains from sun-kissed beaches to rugged mountains, and a safe distance from Edison's reach. But Mexico was close enough for a quick escape, if needed. D.W. Griffith led the exodus, arriving in 1910 to shoot In Old California, a poignant drama of love and loss amid Spanish colonial times, harnessing Hollywood's rolling hills and picturesque valleys to evoke the untamed frontier. This first film, shot in the Village, once orange groves and lemon ranches annexed to Los Angeles that year, sparked a revolution. Nestor Film Company opened the first studio in 1911 at Sunset and Gower, and by 1915, with the patent trust dissolved, majors like Paramount flocked in. By the 1920s, Hollywood commanded 80 to 90% of American films, its promise of endless opportunity drawing dreamers to a land where the landscape itself starred in the stories. As the 1910s dawned, silent films evolved from simple curiosities into visual epics, relying on expressive pantomime, intertitles, and live orchestras to weave tales of laughter and longing. Griffith, the master innovator, pushed boundaries with The Birth of a Nation in 1915, a sweeping Civil War saga that pioneered close-ups and cross-cutting, though its racial depictions stirred controversy even then. Amid this creative ferment, a wiry Englishman named Charlie Chaplin arrived in 1913, signing with Keystone Studios for $150 a week. Drawing from his impoverished London childhood in vaudeville and workhouses, Chaplin debuted his iconic Tramp in 1914's Kid Auto Races at Venice. A bowler-hatted wanderer with a toothbrush mustache and cane, his shorts exploded in popularity, leading to The Tramp in 1915, where the vagabond rescues a damsel, hinting at deeper social commentary. Chaplin's career skyrocketed. By 1916, he commanded an astonishing $10,000 a week at Mutual Film Corporation, producing masterpieces like The Immigrant in 1917, which drew from his own transatlantic journey and critiqued American xenophobia. His first national contract in 1918 allowed full creative control, culminating in feature-length triumphs such as The Kid in 1921, where he co-starred with child actor Jackie Coogan in a tale of paternal love amid poverty, grossing over $2.5 million and establishing him as a director-producer star. The Gold Rush followed, with its famous boot-eating scene filmed in the Sierra Nevada mountains, blending comedy with themes of survival and earning Chaplin international acclaim, though his personal life, marked by multiple marriages, including to teenage Lita Gray in 1924, fueled tabloid scandals that contrasted his on-screen innocence. By 1919, Chaplin joined forces with Mary Pickford, Canada's America's Sweetheart, who had risen from Biograph shorts in 1909 to million-dollar contracts with her golden curls and spirited roles in films like Tess of the Storm Country, along with Douglas Fairbanks and Griffith himself, to found United Artists, a bold bid for artistic independence. Pickford's Pickfair estate became Hollywood's social epicenter, hosting royalty amid her hits like Pollyanna in 1920. Pickford's trajectory was one of relentless hustle, starting as a child actress touring theaters after her father's death in 1898. She honed her craft in over 50 Biograph films under Griffith, mastering the art of portraying plucky ingenues that resonated with audiences seeking wholesome entertainment. Her savvy business acumen shone through in negotiating unprecedented salaries and co-producing her own vehicles, Little Lord Fauntleroy, where she played dual roles to critical praise. As the first woman to be offered a contract earning over $1 million annually, Pickford not only symbolized feminine empowerment in a male-dominated industry, but also navigated the transition to sound with Coquette in 1929, winning an Oscar despite vocal challenges, before retiring in 1933 to focus on philanthropy and her marriage to Fairbanks, whose swashbuckling adventures in The Mark of Zorro complemented her stardom. Meanwhile, Rudolph Valentino ignited passions as the brooding Sheik in 1921's The Sheik, his smoldering gaze causing theatergoers to faint, while Lillian Gish brought ethereal grace to Griffith's Way Down East, braving icy rivers for dramatic realism. Buster Keaton, tumbling into films in 1917 alongside Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, dazzled audiences in The General, a Civil War train chase through California's varied terrains, performing neck-breaking stunts himself. Keaton's career was built on physical precision. Raised in a vaudeville family where he was famously hurled across stages as the human mob, he translated that resilience into cinema, directing and starring in shorts like 1 Week, a chaotic honeymoon tale of a collapsible home. His independent productions in the 1920s, including Sherlock Jr., with his innovative dream sequence, was peak cinema at the time, showcasing his engineering ingenuity. However, signing with MGM in 1928 stripped his autonomy, leading to flops and alcoholism. Despite a career revival in television in the 1950s, Keaton's silent-era legacy as a comedic auteur influenced generations, from Jackie Chan to modern animators. Cecil B. DeMille amplified the spectacle with biblical epics like the Ten Commandments in 1923, parting seas in the desert sands. Yet, as the Roaring Twenties peaked, a seismic shift loomed. Warner Bros.' The Jazz Singer in 1927 introduced synchronized dialogue.
Now get this. Blue sky, smiling at me, nothing but little blue sky. Do I see little blue eyes all day long? Wait a minute.
Al Johnson's You Ain't Heard Nothing Yet, heralding the end of silence and the dawn of talkies by 1929.
Goodbye. Good, don't cry. Goodbye, I gotta bye.
With sound's triumphant arrival, Hollywood entered its golden zenith in the late 1920s, where studios like MGM and Paramount ruled with ironclad contracts, crafting polished narratives in musicals, westerns, and dramas under the watchful eye of the Hays Code from 1934, which tamed risque content for moral uplift. Early talkies tested voices, but stars adapted swiftly. Katharine Hepburn, the fiercely independent Connecticut native, burst onto scenes in 1932's A Bill of Divorcement, earning her first Oscar for Morning Glory a year later as a starry-eyed actress mirroring her own ambition. Branded box office poison after flops, she clawed back with The Philadelphia Story in 1940, a witty comedy of manners she shrewdly produced herself. Hepburn's career spanned decades of defiance. Educated at Bryn Mawr and influenced by her progressive parents, a doctor and a suffragette, she rejected Hollywood's glamour norms, favoring pantsuits and refusing to marry until later life. Her 9-film partnership with Spencer Tracy, starting with Woman of the Year in 1942, blended on-screen chemistry with off-screen romance, yielding classics like Adam's Rib in 1949, a battle of the sexes comedy advocating gender equality. With a record 4 Best Actress Oscars, Hepburn's unyielding spirit challenged the studio system, paving the way for actress autonomy and earning her AFI's top female legend status. The banner year of 1939 unleashed Technicolor wonders like Gone with the Wind and The Wizard of Oz, legendary classics introduced early in modern life. As World War II raged, films turned patriotic. Humphrey Bogart, the Navy veteran turned Broadway tough guy, shed his gangster typecasting in 1941's The Maltese Falcon, directing his own cynical gumshoe, then immortalized wartime romance as Rick in Casablanca, his world-weary charm opposite of Ingrid Bergman, earning eternal acclaim. Bogart's path to stardom was gritty. Born into New York privilege in 1899, he dropped out of Phillips Academy to enlist in World War I, where a scar from shrapnel shaped his signature lisp and sneer. Broadway roles in the 1920s led to Warner Bros. Contracts in 1930, typecasting him as villains in films like The Petrified Forest, but collaborations with John Huston elevated him to anti-hero status in The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. His marriage to Lauren Bacall in 1945, met on To Have and Have Not in 1944, formed Hollywood's power couple, while founding the Rat Pack amplified his cool persona. An Oscar for The African Queen in 1951 solidified his legacy before cancer claimed him in 1957. Post-war, the House Un-American Activities Committee hearings in 1947 blacklisted talents amid Red Scares, while the 1948 Paramount Decree shattered studio monopolies on theaters. Television's encroachment in the 1950s eroded cinema crowds, but glamour endured through innovators like Orson Welles, whose 1941 Citizen Kane, a bold dissection of a media mogul's life, redefined storytelling with deep-focus cinematography. Alfred Hitchcock mastered suspense in Rear Window, voyeuristic thrills from a wheelchair-bound Jimmy Stewart, while John Ford's The Searchers painted Western vistas with moral complexity. Amid this twilight, Marilyn Monroe emerged as the era's luminous siren. Born Norma Jean in 1926 amid foster homes and hardship, she modeled her way to Fox in 1946, breaking through in 1953's Niagara as a sultry femme fatale, her waterfall backdrop amplifying her allure. That year, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes showcased her sparkling wit in Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, founding her own production company in 1954 to fight typecasting. Her breathy vulnerability shone in Some Like It Hot, a cross-dressing farce with Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, grossing millions despite her personal battles with addiction to alcohol and prescription drugs, and marriages to Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. Monroe's career was a whirlwind of reinvention. After small and supportive roles in films like All About Eve, she studied at the Actors Studio for depth, delivering nuanced performances in Bus Stop and The Misfits, co-starring with Clark Gable in his final role. Despite earning over $200 million for studios, her struggles with mental health and exploitation highlighted Hollywood's emerging dark side. Her 1962 death at 36, cementing her as an enduring symbol of star fragility and beauty. Yet as the 1960s dawned, the studio system's foundations cracked under television's rise, antitrust rulings, and costly flops like Cleopatra. A youthful audience, amid Vietnam and counterculture shifts, craved raw stories inspired by European art house films. But as blockbusters like Jaws and Star Wars loomed, would this bold era shatter old glamour, or forge a new cinematic empire? Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm your host Ethan, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you had a good time, maybe you can like, share, or subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you'd like to support me further, check out my Patreon. You can follow me for free to receive video updates and more, with options to pledge for extra benefits. Remember, you always have a seat at the historian's table. Thank you for being a part of history.